Hola, it's Bibi Cameron for Neat and Tangled. Welcome to a new video, and today I will be sharing 4 easy and quick projects using some of the beautiful products from the Neat and Tangled November release. This is a Christmas themed collection and is filled with beautiful sentiments and images for your cards. Okay, I'm going to be using different cardstock colors. These are A4 sheet of cardstock and I'm going to cut them in 4. So that I can use some of these panels to die cut some houses and trees using this die, which is one of the first products I want to show you from this release, and it's called Warm Winter Scene Cover Plate Die. And I want to show you something very important. This paper here is slightly shorter for the size of the die. The die measures 11 centimeters by 14.5 centimeters or 4.25 by 5.5 inches. So if you want to use the die to create the front panel of a card, you might need to use a larger piece of paper. So I'm going to trim the paper here at 6 inches by 4.5 inches because this paper here is going to be used to create the front panel of a card. And now I'm going to use a die cutting machine to die cut several panels in different colors. So I spent 10 good minutes die cutting and getting ready all these little pieces to be used in different projects. And I'm going to start for a very easy Christmas card. So I just grab a piece of yellow cardstock and I'm going to glue this panel on top, and then I'm going to trim any excess of cardstock. And all I have to do here is to inlay the die cuts or to glue them on the negative space, just like that. I don't know if you noticed that when I was adding glue, I add glue to the area of the roof or underneath the roof of these houses. So to finish gluing these, I'm just grabbing a piece of paper and I'm adding glue like so just behind the die cuts. And then I use a non-sticky craft mat. I rub it in the back just to make sure that those die cuts are all in place and this panel is done. Now I'm going to glue it on a slightly larger piece of cardstock. And using the Tim Holtz stamping platform, I'm going to stamp a banner using clear Versamark ink, white embossing powder, and a Merry Christmas stamp from Christmas Pageant stamp set, also released this November. So I'm going to heat emboss this, and once I have heat embossed this sentiment, I'm going to use this Nuvo surface brush to sweep any excess of anti-static powder. And I really like the look and feel of the cardstock after using this brush. All I have to do now is fussy cut this sentiment, and I'm going to use a foam. This is a strip of foam just in the back to stick my sentiment down. And I also stamped this little banner here using another sentiment from Christmas Pageant stamp set in VersaFine black onyx ink. I'm also going to add some white dots with this white marker just over the roof of the houses. And to finish, I'm also going to add some sequins. And to adhere these sequins on my card, I'm going to be using glossy accents. I found this to be the best glue to stick sequins on cards. So here is the card. It's a very good looking card in flesh. And you can mass produce this. Once you have all your pieces and bits to put this card together, the process of assembling this card is very easy and quick. Okay, now I'm going to be making this card and I'm going to do it very quickly. The first thing I'm going to do is to die cut this panel with a circle die, like so. And I'm going to use these new dies here called Stitched Slop dies by Neat and Tangled. And I'm going to cut a piece of paper like so. And then we get these pieces of cardstock that we can overlap to create different landscapes or scenes for our cards. And before adding any glue, I just place the little houses here and there to see how they look. And when I have a better idea, I start adding glue. But I did something that made the work a little bit easier. The first thing I did was gluing this piece here. And I'm just using here Tombow glue. And I check the front of the card to see if this is aligned. It is. So the next thing I'm going to do is to glue this piece behind, but I'm only going to add glue here and there, just in those corners, so that I have a gap or a space between those layers of cardstock, and it's easier for me to insert the die cuts like so. And when I'm gluing these little houses here, I also like to push them a little bit down, so I make the buildings to look a little bit shorter, and that also helped me with the design. I also like to glue these houses really close to the edge of that circular window. So if you see there, the roof is overtaking that window and it's kind of making the design a little bit more harmonic. All those little things are design elements that you can use in your favor. And once you are happy with your design or with your scene, you can just trim any excess of cardstock. I'm also going to add a banner, and I'm going to stamp an extra sentiment also using the stamping platform. I cannot risk to go wrong in this one, so the stamping platform is going to make sure that I get that sentiment properly stamped, and if it's not, I can stamp over again. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to be using VersaFine Onyx black ink, and if you get ink on the lid of the platform, don't worry, because that ink is never going to be transferred on your projects. You can clean that later. And here you have different options. You can add in the back of this panel a piece of a color cardstock and you will be done. And you can also create any kind of background for that scene. So here I want to show you another product from the release, and it's this 3 duo stencil. I'm absolutely loving these duo stencils by Neat and Tangled. I also made a previous video, so have a look, because in that one I'm using the stencils with Nuvo flakes, and I made a beautiful metallic patterned paper. And here I just simply overlap the images and I use different ink colors to create a little bit of contrast and interest. These stencils are very easy to align, so I feel like I can come back to the image and apply darker ink colors to create a more three-dimensional effect with no problem. Very, very easy. However, when I finish these trees here, I say, okay, that's not the color I need, so I'm going to make quickly another image, and this one is the one I'm going to use for my card today. You can also use masking paper or just printer paper to put below the stencil, just between the stencil and this paper, so you are not going to get inky all the edges around the stencil image. But as today I'm going to use this in the background, I didn't mind. So now I'm going to glue the panel like so, and I'm going to trim any excess of paper. Okay, so now I'm going to choose a background panel, and I like the red the most. So I'm going to glue this on that panel. I'm going to embellish with this sequins from this release as well. And I'm going to glue this on a white card base. This is a large card base. It measures 5 inches by 7. And as this is the first card I made in this design, I didn't know exactly the final size of the card. So I just glue my panel there and I trim to the size. So I'm going to trim this at 6 inches by 4 inches 3/4. But you can also adapt this card design so it will fit in standard envelopes. I'm not worried about that here because I actually like to make my own envelopes, so I'm never worried about the size of the cards. And now let me show you another two card samples. I want to be very quick. I don't want to get a lot of your time. And what I did there was just sticking those little houses in trees. They are just white plain color, and I'm going to trim this stencil image like so. Now I'm going to glue this on top of that paper there, and I'm going to cut the paper in the same way. This could be a very simple topper for a card, and you can add a window or something to create a nice Christmas scene as well. But instead, I'm going to glue this topper there in the bottom of that paper because I really want to show you another product in the release which is absolutely beautiful. It's going to allow you to create Christmas tags or add a spectacular sentiment to your cards easily and in time record. And it is a stamp set here called Joyful Sentiments. And I also love those stars, just perfect to stamp a background as well. So I just wanted to make this very simple sample here just to show you the products in action. Of course, you can make so many different things with them, but I'm just in love with the whole release, and I wanted to show you as much as possible in one single video. So that's what I'm doing here. This is a very simple card, also using those scraps of paper I got left from the previous cards I was creating when using these products. So that's another idea. So you can use any small piece of paper you have to create something completely new. So that's another idea I wanted to share with you today, to create patterned paper using those small stamps in the set and add a nice decorative elements to your Christmas cards. I also add nuvo drops at the center of the stars and also on the trees here, just to add a little bit of extra. And I also made this tag, and believe me, it took me 30 seconds to make this. I just glued down the little houses here, stamped the sentiment, a couple of stars, and I was done. And I still have a bunch of die cuts, and these are the ones I got from die cutting the panels at the beginning of this video. So I still have a lot of material to create many different easy and quick projects. I have here all the cards I made today, and this is the last card I show you in the video. I also tried the card with a glitter paper. This is glitter paper by Tonic Studios, really easy to die cut. So if you like shimmer and glitter, this might be some samples for you today. And I also changed the position of the banners. Some of them are hidden balls, others are just simply stamping. And this is the other card I made as well. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe for more ideas and inspiration, and to know the latest products by Neat and Tangled. Thank you very much for watching, and happy crafting. Bye!